I joined Concern in 1998 and started working in the Rohingya refugee camp in Cox's Bazar. Rohingya refugee, there was an influx in 1991, and Concern started responding that, and there are 2 camps remaining. Concern was still working over there. That Concern was the last organization. He's continued to work over there. And when I saw Concern is looking for someone who can go over there and support their health and nutrition program, then I took that opportunity. I went over there and started working. And over the years, I worked in different programs, both development program, and supported and took part in many different humanitarian responses, and gradually developed myself to lead the organization. In fact, it was my my ambition. I wanted to lead an organization so that I can really lead people, can guide people to make some changes. That's how over the year I worked through the experience and my own learning, investment in learning, that helped me to come to this position. I think is important about the purpose. Whatever you do in your life is important to find the purpose. Why really you want to do that? Or if you want to get somewhere, why do you want to get there? So it's linked back to my own personal life. When I graduated from the medical school, I actually spent 5 years' time in my village to establish an organization. It's a kind of a development organization and mobilizing local resources to run that organization. But I started with a group of friends, but we could not continue that one. And then I thought it's better to learn because we did not have that experience. So I was trying to find an organization where I can learn. So from the very beginning, I wanted to lead an organization. That organization will really be efficiently working for the people. So that's the purpose. So I wanted to make some changes. And then I see that setting the purpose and then identifying the purpose, and then you find the path. You need to make that investment. You need to have serious commitment and dedicate your time and resources, and you need to have ability to learn, so you can grow up. There are a number of skills and competencies you need for developing that humanitarian leadership. Is first and very important to me is the commitment. Is the commitment to serve people. Is your humanitarian heart. Are you really committed to support other people? It's a selfless. You need to have that heart. You need to have that urge inside you to go and to support people and to take the pain. So that's very important. Otherwise, you cannot really do this kind of work in the crisis, in the insecure environment, in the difficult situation. You can't. So this is very important, I see. There are other areas is the analytical ability, is the capacity to analyze the situation. There are certain emergencies happen all on a sudden, and then you need to quickly analyze what is the need, what needs to be done, and there are certain crises happen gradually. You get time, you start analyzing, you can forecast that what is going to happen. So your analytical capacity is very important, looking forward, what is going to happen and what needs to be done. And another area is important, is quick decision-making capacity. It's very, very important in humanitarian leadership, in handling crisis. You cannot wait. You need to make quick decision. It's a kind of a capacity you need to learn. Other area is a capacity to mobilize resources. How do you get resources? Where to go and influence people? And also leading a team. How do you lead people? How do you inspire people to respond, to get the job done? And other area is the collaborating with other agencies, working with other agencies. It's not that they're working with you. You are direct line manager. It's other organizations, other head of organizations, other technical experts. So working with them, working with government. So this is another set of a skill you need. It's important in any humanitarian response. It is very important to work with the wider stakeholders. The humanitarian architecture, the coordination architecture is very important, because you cannot respond alone here. There will be number, when there is a big crisis, there will be a number of institutions worked here. If you look at who are the actors here, is the government, is the UN system, is the international NGOs, local NGOs, and the local people. So it's a wider architecture. And in the Rohingya crisis, when the crisis was looming and the people, there was crackdown in Myanmar, and people are forced to leave, and then when the people started coming in, concern was not on the ground at that time. There is some organization, international organization and local organizations, they were operating in that area and working with the previous group who came long ago. Then when the new influx started coming in, and we see the extent of problem, and we know there are huge number of people will be coming. Immediately we decided that we as a humanitarian organization, we need to respond. The organizations who are working over there, they will not be able to cope with this pressure. They will not be able to support this huge number of displaced population. So we decided to move. And when we decided to move, there are a number of challenges there. So you need a government approval to go over there. So you need to communicate with the UN system. You need to go to the other international NGOs, what they are doing over there. You need to talk to the local agencies and local authorities on the ground. So working with them and negotiate the space first. This is very important, that you are clear that why you are going and what you are going to do over there, so everybody is aware of it. And then they can get the approval from the local authority. And within the approval, your organization alone, you need to bring a lot of support from other organizations and move collectively. So these are the few immediate steps that involvement was required. But when we set up, we enter over there and we started operating. This is important, that we need to know about the humanitarian architecture. There are different sectors and clusters. In Bangladesh it's called sector, but globally it is clusters. You have your different sectoral clusters, like nutrition cluster, and food security cluster, logistic cluster, and different cluster you have. Wash cluster. You need to engage with these clusters, because decisions are made there with all the agencies, who will do what, which camp they will be working, and how different services are mobilized in a camp. So this is important. Otherwise, you cannot work alone. If you are not at the sectoral meeting or cluster meeting, you cannot really independently alone cannot work. So this is important area of engagement at the sectoral level. It's very important when the first thing you need to understand what is the problem, or what is the challenges, or what are the opportunities. How do you know that one? Then you need to engage with the people. You need to learn. You need to listen to people to get those Otherwise, as a leader, you are not doing things. You are not really thinking alone. If you think alone and if you try to do things, you'll obviously will create a mess. It's important that you get the right information, you pick the right problem and the opportunities, and then engage people to find the solution. What could be the solution? And get the wisdom of people. And then you, as a leader, you see what would be the best possible solution. Build that consensus with the people, and people will own that one. So it's important that you listen to them, you value. It's listening that not that I'm just hearing from someone. It's the listening to understand what is the meaning of it. What is the key element of the suggestion. So those are the, it's very important. First, it's important if you work in this humanitarian situation and crisis. Often it's very complex. It's very complex, and some of the environment is very insecure due to the nature of the situation or conflict, and also the enormous workload that you, when you are in the response, then it's a kind of a it's 24 hours, 7 days a week work. It's a huge pressure, and also negotiating with all these organizations, government. We work within a very challenging situation. That all these, mount pressure on you, and it is very stressful. It's very stressful. First, we need to have that recognition. It's very important that we recognize this. It will be a very stressful job. It will really it would be a huge pressure on anyone, and also when you are working with that within that crisis, when you see people are suffering, and the need is enormous, when you see on the ground, it has huge psychological pressure on a person. From two ways. One is the pain. You see the suffering that affects a human being. And another is there is an urge, you will get that urge that you want to solve the problem immediately, which is often is not possible. So you try to do as much as you can. That really creates a lot of pressure. It's very important to understand that and acknowledge that. And then it's important that you take care of yourself and you take care of staff. It's very important to find time to take rest. Often there is a pressure that you cannot take rest, you continue to work. But it's important that you take rest, you take food, take care of your health. And also it's very important to, after a certain period of time, you need to take leave, you need to get that break. It's very important. Often we miss that point. Even for the staff, we need to allow them to go for a break. Often we need to, motivate them and influence them to go for a break. Otherwise, they will just, burn out, and they will, they will get into trouble, health issues, and there are other issues as well they will experience. So it's important to take care of the staff, and also it's important that among the managers, we need to build that skill, that how stress, how it affects the people. No, it's very important to build that humanitarian leadership capacity at the national level. If you see any response, you need to understand the context first. So who knows better? Is the people who are living there, or the people who knows the context better. It's not that international staff, flying there. They don't know. They don't feel. So it's important that we need to bring the local knowledge first. Second is Ultimately, is the local organizations and the local staff. They take the burden of that response. Initially, probably all the response was set up by international actors, but when it goes on, it starts, and we engage local staff. Most of the responses are done by the local staff. If we don't build the capacity among them, the quality of the response will not be good. We will never be able to maintain that quality, and you cannot really bring hundreds of international staff from other countries who doesn't know about that country context and the problem well. They might have technical expertise, they might have some other expertise, but due to lack of contextual knowledge and understanding, they may not be as effective as the local staff and local staff could be. So it's important to invest in our local capacity. And for that investment, you need to have those systematic training process. As I said, it will not happen by reading a book. You need to put them into the system, train them, put them into the field, help them to learn. There is also requirement for mentorship from the experienced people who knows. They can guide them, they can help them. So it needs a kind of a comprehensive approach of building that capacity among the national staff. It needs a commitment, it needs resources, and as we are international agencies are supporting this localization agency. We have been doing this for quite a long time, but now the push is for a systematic and sustainable development of local capacity. It needs resources, it needs commitment. Then we can achieve that.